How Trump nearly won the election. So, as I was saying in a earlier segment that I made, it is important to understand that the Democrats have made an awful campaign. The only thing that made them win was hatred against Trump. They had nothing to offer their base in order to energize them to go and vote for something instead of voting against something. Now, Trump, happily enough, has been incredibly down as how he handled the coronavirus crisis. Maybe he would have won, and he could have done very many different things that would have made him won handling the coronavirus crisis. So, for example, let's remember that Trump refused the buying of thousands and thousands of inhalers and of masks in the beginning of the crisis. Let's remember that Trump refused the reality of the coronavirus in the beginning of the crisis, calling it a Chinese hoax. Then after that, he began to accept that it was something real, but he just said that it was going to disappear as soon as the first it was going to come. Obviously, it didn't. All this didn't help his re-election. All this decreased slowly his approval rating, seeing how terrible he was at dealing with the coronavirus crisis. He could have made incredibly popular moves, such as sending more money to the American people, more than the $1,200 money that was supposed to last for several months. Signing the checks as he did for this specific check I was talking about, and make himself very popular through acts like that, and maybe win the election. But he decided otherwise, and he decided to keep calling it a Chinese hoax. He decided that after he got coronavirus, he was still going not to wear a mask, which decreased his popularity even more. Obviously, there is still a base of people that didn't care about that. In fact, certainly liked it. But the independents that could have voted for him didn't like that very much. He even recently, funnily enough, infected the Secret Service because obviously he decided to go around the country to meet the Secret Service, and he still had the coronavirus in him and could still spread it. So now the Secret Services are infected with the coronavirus. There is hundreds of cases. So great. In any cases, this is why he lost the election. This is partly why. Obviously, there is many different reasons, as in every election. Because, again, the Democrats had nothing to vote for. They just had someone to vote against. And the many independents that chose to vote against Donald Trump too didn't vote against Donald Trump because of its economic choice in the beginning of his administrations, or no, not even the fact that he locked migrants up in the near the Mexican border and treated them awfully. No, the main thing has been his terrible handling of the coronavirus crisis. He also indulged terribly the protests and cracked down on it, but I'm really not sure this is what's decided the independence, because the propaganda around that is very resourceful and very powerful. And yes, many people that Antifa is the new fascism. This makes no sense. This is nice saying, I guess, but this makes no sense. Fascism is still the violent ideology, the inherently violent ideology against which anti-fascism is fighting. But what matters is that this idea of things, that Antifa is violent, that the protests are violent, is very strong in America right now. And it is, in my opinion, but you may watch the Majority Report or SN Piker on Twitch and other people to know a bit more about that. They certainly know more than me. But in my opinion, this is not what decided the independent. The way he dealt with the coronavirus crisis is the main component. He was so clearly doing shit. It was so clearly ravaging your country that, yeah, you had to change a president.